That is the Republican point of view, at least of one Republican congressman. Now, in terms of foreign policy, let's speak to David Tafuri, partner with the law firm Denton's, rule of law coordinator at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, also an aide to the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. Fair to say you're a Middle Eastern expert, David. Thank you very much for your time. Let's just summarize, first of all, a couple of quick points for the viewers. President Trump said he was ready for America to lead in the world again, but he said he was not representing the world, that he represented America first. In terms of foreign policy and geopolitical alliances, I believe he only mentioned one country by name, Israel.
Yeah, that's correct. It was surprising that you didn't hear him mention Iraq. You didn't hear him mention Syria. Obviously, we have engagements there. We're fighting ISIS there. He talked about defeating ISIS. That's consistent with what he talked about on the campaign. He again mentioned he wants to defeat ISIS, that it's a priority. He didn't really give any details. The only country he mentioned is Israel. He certainly made clear that he wants to strengthen that relationship. He's said over and over again, he repeated it in the speech tonight, that he thinks that's the most important relationship for the U.S. Also, notably, he began the speech by condemning attacks on Jewish community centers here in the U.S. That's a real, positive in terms of sounding a tone of inclusiveness. But with respect to foreign policy, it was really short on details. And that's, shown by the fact that he only mentioned one country, and the things that he talked about with respect to foreign policy were really focused on our military. He wants to increase military spending, make our military stronger, but then in a sort of contradiction, he talked about how he does not want the military to be engaged overseas as much as it was in the last administration.
He still hasn't given the details of the plan that his generals are coming up, he says, which will eventually completely destroy ISIS, the Islamic State group. He talks a lot about what he inherited. He's blamed Hillary Clinton for creating ISIS. Give us a very brief synopsis of what he has inherited.
Well, what he's inherited now in Iraq is a military campaign that's actually going quite well against ISIS. Of course, with our partners, the UK, with France, with Australia, some of the other Western countries, and working very closely with the Iraqi army and with the Kurdish Peshmerga. ISIS has been pushed out of eastern Mosul. They're in western Mosul. They're going to make a last stand in western Mosul and a few other towns in northwest Iraq. But I expect that they will be defeated and pushed completely out of Iraq within the next 3 to 6 months. But then we have to stay engaged, and we really have to solve some governance issues in Iraq and some security issues in Iraq to make sure ISIS doesn't return. Now, you mentioned he says he's going to release a plan on defeating ISIS that's supposed to come out this week. It would have been nice to hear some foreshadowing of the details of that in his speech tonight. We didn't get any of that. And of course, he didn't talk at all about Syria, where the campaign to defeat ISIS is also equally important, but where we have a long way to go in order to accomplish that objective.
Again, briefly, if you could, David, we've got so much to get through here. It's all about President Trump, of course. The French news agency AFP says he's shown himself in this speech to be protectionist and isolationist. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. That's certainly what I took from it. But of course, he said in the speech also he loves free trade and he supports free trade. But then he talked about all the things that he wants to do that are against free trade, pulling out of some of our trade agreements, multilateral trade agreements. He wants to put tariffs on products coming into the U.S. He wants to make sure there are not tariffs against American products going overseas. And if there are, he wants to raise the same types of tariffs. There was a lot of non-free trade type of discussion. That, of course, is playing to what he thinks is his base in the middle of America, who he thinks voted for him in part for his anti-trade policies and speeches.
David Tafuri, we appreciate it, David. Thank you very much.